Welcome back everyone to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast, and this time we're gonna have a 2v2 on Vol Farmlands. Wow, been a while since I've seen this map. Sent in by one of them, one of the German players. We have Nicholas Drake playing as the OKW, and we have Too Extreme for You. Gotta say it this way because it's in caps. As the Wehrmacht. I think it's Too Extreme for You, but it might also be Nicholas Drake. I don't know. On the opposing side, we have Husker and Kriegminster, both playing as the UKF. Oh boy, UKF on Row Farmland. This is going to be very annoying for the Germans to deal with. I can already tell. Although it looks like both of the Brits are just charging for buildings, and they're gonna get there first before these poor Sturmpiles. The Sturmpiles, however, yeah, if they get into the little angle there. Oh wow, that was not good. That was not good for these poor infantry sections. Now they're gonna get pretty much destroyed by the Sturmpiles now that they got into cover. Yeah, they were lucky to escape this quickly and with no casualties. In the meantime, in the south, I'm not sure what these Tommies are trying to do. They're probably trying to go for this building and this field point. Although, he's going to be facing up against two Extreme 4Us. I'm not going to do the voice every time. Two Extreme 4Us, machine gun and mortar combination, which is going to be very, very strong on this side of the map. In the meantime, in the center, we have a bit of a flank attempt coming in from these infantry sections. Here comes the Sturmpiles trying to get out of the encirclement, but this is not going to work out quite well. Infantry sections early game, when they get into that green cover, when they get the green cover bonus, they're very, 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 very powerful. So they need to be watched out for pretty much at all times. This is going to mean the end of the German presence in the center. Although there is a cube wagon for Nicholas Drake, capturing up the north. Unfortunately, getting out of the capture zone, getting some problems there. But he's going to manage to capture point. Unfortunately, very good job from Husker, coming in with the infantry section and capturing up the connecting cutoff point. So at this point, the Allies really are in control of most of the resources on the map. If not because of direct control, because the Germans really don't have any points connected to their base except for one strategic point. This is going to lead to a very, very good advantage for the Allies in the early game, and this is going to lead also to something like this Universal Carrier sprouting up like a mushroom. It could be upgraded with Vickers K at this point, and I would do that if I was Kriegminister. Kriegminister really needs that extra Universal Carrier support because he's facing up against the Wehrmacht, so he's got the MG42 to contend with, and the Vickers K would be very useful against that. Oh, he's actually going for a Wasp Flamer. That's an interesting choice. He's very scared, clearly, of this building being used against them. In the meantime, in the north, we have a bit of a push coming in from Nicholas Drake, trying to recover some of his lost territory. It's going to run up against Husker's own UC, and the UC from Husker isn't upgraded yet, but he has enough munis for a Vickers K, so he might be going for that at this point. Sturmpile is getting into the shack just to get some extra cover for themselves, and covering also is good because it's allowing these folks capture up the center, getting some extra munitions into the belt of the Germans, and also a VP to prevent triple capping. In fact, in terms of VPs, the Germans really are doing better. Looks like the UC got forced back by the Grenadiers, or perhaps the MG42, which has now taken up position in the house. Taken some damage, but really able to secure and lock down the southern side of the map for Deutschland, which is good, because at this point, they really need to get some pressure on the Brits while they're weaker in the early game. And another very good play from the Germans, taking out the UC. That is nice, although the not Volkswagen, the Cube wagon, Volkswagen, the Cube wagon really needs to be careful about standing around like that. Now, this little shack, or rather barn, is a bit of a problem because you can see this little, like, opening here. This is not a window. They cannot fire from here. So at this point, the Cube wagon can just kind of stay here and fire on the infantry section forever. Although it's got bigger fish to fry, aka this other infantry section. Although at this point, I feel like the Cube wagon really needs to retreat. Oh, no, it's dead. Never mind. Very nice playing coming in from the other infantry section. In fact, it is abandoned. Looks like they managed to shoot the driver first, which could be very, very scary for the Germans, because this might just fall into the hands of the Brits, which would not be as good as the Germans expected this Cubewagon to do. Yeah, not very good. Kriegsminister managed to capture up the center, and in the south he tried to capture the point near the base to get a cutoff, but he's going to get forced away by this 222 from Too Extreme for You. That is very, very good. We have also got a support gun coming in from Nicholas Drake, and that's also really good. There goes the Cubewagon that was, I guess, recruited because it's in a different position, and unfortunately that means that those two guys that were manning the Cubewagon are now dead, and they disappeared because they're that worthless to the game. We have also gotten a Raken from Nicholas Drake, so clearly he's going for a balanced force. That is very, very smart of him. And Husker also smartly goes for an anti-tank gun and a Vickers machine gun as well. So it looks like pretty much every player understands that at this point they really should start getting out some AT, especially also if something like this were to come out. AC definitely going to be very strong against the Scout Car, but there's a Grenadier squad here with the Panzerfaust is going to be able to at least force away the AC and prevent it from chasing down and killing the 222. So the 222 at this point needs to be very careful about that British vehicle. At this point, we have this SDG-44 Grenadier plus the support of the LEIG going to be doing some damage to these poor infantry sections and forcing them to retreat with a flame grenade. In the south, the Wasp carrier is still alive, and that's good for the Allies because that is going to provide some extra anti-building support later on. And very good mine placement right near the door from these Royal Engineers, so I definitely enjoy Husker's mine placement. At this point, nice little harassment coming in from Nicholas Drake's Volksgrenadiers, capturing up the northern fuel point and subtracting those resources from the British control. At this point, though, it seems like the British are starting to regain their footing a little bit and getting... Oh, wow, that was incredibly unlucky. Random shot from the support gun takes out the mine and also kills one of the mine layers with it. How ironic. And here comes a very nice flank from these two infantry sections. Gonna try to take out the support gun, but unfortunately there's another support gun, also an engineer squad, a Sturmpile squad, so lots of crews huddled around the battle brickworks. They're going to be able to, on their own, destroy these poor infantry sections. In fact, they need to retreat right now if they don't want to retreat through all these German troops. This one squad might even go down if they're... Yeah, very nice focus fire coming in from the Volksgrenadiers with those two SDGs getting the close range damage that the Germans needed. At this point, Kriegsminister, no, it's mobile assault. So he's gone for the mobile assault doctrine. And we'll see whether or not he wastes a lot of resources on these land mattresses and these infiltration commandos, or whether or not any of these abilities really do anything for him. The advanced cover combat can be very, very good and underrated, so we'll see if he makes any use of that. And I'm thinking that he's also going to be upgrading, yes, his Royal Engineers with some Flamers. That is a perfectly viable option, especially since he does seem to have pretty much undisputed control over the southern side of the map. So he wants to be able to fortify that up quite well. And the fact that he's got an AC and now the Flamers on his Royal NGs and of course also the UC with the Wasp means that he's going to be very, very effective in an assault role. So he's going to be pretty much the best way for the Brits to come in and take over the center. He's got some very good troops to attack enemy positions. Very, very nice units. He's going to be needing to be a little bit careful about the southern side. But, oh, here comes the infiltration commandos. Let's see how they do. They managed to come in. He's going to get quite a bit of damage off on these folks. Might be able to destroy them. I noticed that the commandos coming out of the building actually had the ambush bonus, which was, I guess, pretty nice. I didn't know that they had the ambush bonus once they came out of... the buildings, but that's still not enough to wipe out the Grenadiers. So a bit of a pathetic first attack from the infiltration commandos, getting quite a lot of damage on Volksgrenadiers when Nicholas Drake has 678 manpower really isn't going to be enough. And this 222 is absolutely something else entirely that the infiltration commandos can't deal with. And in fact, the infiltration commandos are going to be forced to retreat into the huge swarm of Germans Oh no, that's very unlucky. Too extreme for you's Grenadiers could have just stayed still, and the MG42 would have tore into these poor infiltration commandos. So I feel like that was a bit of a missed opportunity from the Germans to get a nice wipe off on the Allies on a very, very expensive unit. Speaking of very expensive, the Germans are very much floating too many resources. I feel like, okay, Nicholas Drake going for an extra Raketenwerfer. So he's definitely building up his static little support weapons band, which is a good little thing. And ooh, this is very dangerous. It's not that dangerous, never mind. Too extreme for use mortar does take out the danger. The danger would have been these two very, very nicely upgraded infantry sections. And ooh, I didn't notice. So Cromwell's on the field. AP rounds being popped by the MG, but unfortunately the Cromwell's frontal armor is a little bit too much for this machine gun, even with the armor-piercing rounds. Kriegsminister doesn't have the vet-free, the tier-free, but he does have a forward assembly right near the base. So he's got some extra map control from that. And right now the machine gun trying to do some things to the Cromwell, but the Cromwell really isn't carrying a lot, and very nicely using the building as cover against Pack 40. So while the Germans nicely preparing for the vehicle with some good anti-tank defenses, they're still going to be a little bit lacking, although the Cromwell decides to go out into the open, and it eats a shot from the pack right in the face, which might have not been the best possible option for him. In the meantime, in the north, Nicholas Drake is pushing his folks and capturing up the north. He should probably be focused on getting up a Schwerpanzer quarters, perhaps here, perhaps a little bit more north, so that he can hold this area a little bit better. Because I've noticed that he's had some trouble actually holding the north the same way the Allies held the south. Of course, this is also partially because I feel like Too Extreme for You is floating way too much manpower. He needs to be building some extra troops, and with those extra troops, he could really swarm across the south of the map and capture a lot of points for free. At this point, however, I feel like he's going for some vehicles. He's going for a support armored core, but still, he could be going for some extra usage of his manpower. I feel like it would be very, very important for him to get rid of some of that extra manpower and use it for something useful. In the meantime, Cromwell just charges in a little bit too close. Volksgrenadiers can use a Panzerfaust, and the Panzerfaust will come up perhaps a little bit too late because the pack gun and the Raketenwerfer at this point are out of range. The 222 survives yet another engagement with a superior vehicle. What happened to the AEC? Is the AEC still running around? Yes, it is. It tries to take out the AEC-222, but it's met by an ambushing Raketenwerfer. It's going to manage to take out the 222 and pop some smoke to attempt a retreat. Raketenwerfer tries to take it out, but it's getting flanked and toasted by this universal carrier, so very good job from the Allies. That was a very nice assault. This is exactly what I was talking about in Kriegsminister's army being very, very good for the offensive. The infiltration commandos are going to be providing even more offensive support for him, but unfortunately, the UC very luckily manages to survive these two AT guns. And also the bunker here, I'm thinking it was trying to be turned into a command post to be a reinforcement point, but it's going to be lost by the Germans thanks to the support of the 6-pounder anti-tank gun. So nice push from the Allies, absolutely sending the Germans packing with their tail between their legs. And in the center, pretty much the Allied domination is going to be enforced at this point. Here comes a flame grenade from these Volksgrenadiers, but it's not going to be enough to take out everybody at this point because, well, there are a few LEIGs that can support the Allies, but there's a Centaur at this point in the field for Husker. And that Centaur can be very dangerous against the Raketenwerfers or anything that relies on people manning it. And unfortunately, he decides to run around the corner. Alright, I guess drive around the corner. That is never the best possible option whenever you know that the enemy has AT guns. Yeah, very good usage of the Raketenwerfers and the line of sight provided by this, line of sight obstruction provided by this hedgerow. So using that to his advantage. Unfortunately, a Volksgrenadier squad goes down. Still, oh, there goes a Royal Engineer. So lots of wipes coming in from both sides, and yet another wipe coming in as the Centaur is destroyed, in fact decrewed. At this point, the Infiltration Commando is getting a few kills in here, but not really going to be enough. Going to be forced away by the Allied, or rather the German infantry. And the Stug definitely proving its worth in taking out the Centaur. Newly built by Too Extreme for You. It looks like he's going to be going for some mild, I guess, safe units from the Support Armor Corps, not going for an Ostwind to try to deal with all the infantry. I'm thinking that he's going to be going for later on the Lightning War Doctrine for the Tiger Tank, because that would definitely give him quite a good little unit for the late game. He could also try to go for an Elephant, which on Vo farmlands can be a very, very nice instrument because of all the line of sight that is very, very open, wide open plains for the Elephant to snipe out enemy vehicles from a distance. The problem is always, of course, the Elephant needs to be supported really, really well. Looks like Nicholas Drake is going for a P4 instead of a Panther because he's also trying to stopgap for the Jagd Tiger. And he's also gone for some P Fusiliers. P Fusiliers, very, very strong. Of course, though, with these two brand upgraded infantry sections, this is basically a firing squad. There's nothing any German squad right now can do about this on its own. They're going to have to use overwhelming force. These Sturmpiles could definitely use a bit of a salvage off on this wreck of the Cromwell and also of the Centaur. But I guess they're just going to hang out and have a tea party inside the building. Interesting. So the P4 is alive, and it's got a very cool camel skin. At this point... Oh, there goes one of those squads from a very nice support gun shot. And probably with the support of the mortar. So this indirect fire that the Germans went for at the start of the game definitely paying for itself. It's allowed the Germans to get a lot of kills that normally they wouldn't have been able to. The problem with the Germans is still that they're floating, at least Too Extreme for You, is floating lots and lots of manpower. So he could be bringing out lots of more infantry squads on the field to put a lot more pressure on the allies in the south, which right now isn't really happening. I feel like also a P-Grunt squad with some Panzerschrecks would be very, very useful at this point for him. He also needs to be trying to recrew this Ordnance Expounder anti-tank gun, because again, allowing this to just stay in the hands of the allies really doesn't make any sense. You might as well just destroy it or take it for yourself. And it looks like these Volksgrenadiers are doing exactly that. With the support of the Panzer IV SJ, they're going to be able to salvage, in fact, the anti-tank gun. They really should salvage also the Cromwell wreck. It looks like... I'm not sure if they salvaged the Centaur or if the Centaur was destroyed by something. But, oh well, at least Nicholas Drake is making some use of his salvage ability, which is always something that sometimes doesn't really make any sense, but yes, it's always something that sometimes is forgotten by the OKW players. So it is nice to see. And here comes a flame grenade, forcing away the allies and capturing the center with Volks. Doing pretty okay for the Axis. So here comes, in fact, that Panzer Grenadier squad that I was thinking about, which is a good decision. I wonder if he's going to go for the Panzerschrecks at all, but I still feel like getting the Panzerschrecks would be very, very useful, because Husker, while he's lost his vehicles, he might bring out something else, and Kriegsminister definitely has a Comet on the field. So the Allies, while they had a bit of a lull in their armor presence, they're going to be coming back with a vengeance soon. Husker, also going for the Special Weapons Regiment, is going to allow him to go for a Vanguard Operation Crocodile soon enough. So getting that big heavy tank with the excellent anti-infantry capabilities of the Crocodile Flamethrower. And yeah, it seems like it's a bit of a stalemate at this point. This is pretty good for the Germans because they have the support guns, they have the mortar. So they're going to have a bit of an advantage when it comes to just standoff engagements, because they're going to just be constantly bombarding the allies. In fact, Husker went for a Sherman Firefly at this point to get some extra AT presence. This is very, very useful, I think, for the Brits. If he's going to use the Firefly correctly, especially with the Tulip rockets and the fact that he has 240 munitions, so he can definitely spam those out. He's got enough munitions for 3 of them. This could be very, very good. Infiltration Commando's up to 8 kills, but they're just not doing well. They're terrible. Look at this. They're not able to ever get an opportunity to deal with the German troops at a close range where they would really like to fight. And at this point, any damage that they take, very lucky this time that they don't lose a model, but any model losses that they take just makes their purchase yet more, I guess, worthless, because I'm pretty sure that Kriegsminister has spent more manpower on those infantry commandos than he's dealt in terms of damage to the enemy with them. Because only 8 kills, really, for a 440 manpower infantry squad that's been alive for like, what, 10 minutes? Yeah, you should be higher, and of course, the infantry commandos are quite expensive to reinforce as well, so you need to be very careful about how you use them. MG42, on the other hand, that's pretty much a very cost-effective little weapon, and it's doing quite well in the center for the Germans. Here comes a concentrated fire operation, actually, on the MG42. A bit of a waste of 250 munis, especially when you have a Sherman Firefly on the field. You don't want to be spending your munitions willy-nilly, and this concentrated fire operation takes quite a while to reach the target. I mean, it does have a quite nice radius. It's got a bit of an RNG effect, but at this point, I feel like the concentrated fire should have been better used on the Schwerpanzer headquarters. Here comes the land mattress to counter battery the LEIG support gun. It does destroy the LEIG support gun and gets another kill on something else. Looks like a pack gun crew. It does do a little bit of damage to the LEIG, but still, that was the first barrage, and now the Germans are going to be much, much more alert for something like a land mattress barrage. And here comes the Tiger from 2 Extreme for you. As I expected, he was going for the Lightning War Doctrine. He needs to be careful, though, because the right side is a complete hornet's nest of mines and possible ambush spots. It's completely been untouched by the fighting, so none of the players really know, well, none of the Axis players really know much of what's been going on here, so they need to be very careful about how they move in going for the southern part of the map. And at this point, as you can see, while the land matches did decrew one of the support guns and destroyed its veterancy, it can just be recrewed by some Volksgrenadiers, which are very, very cheap to reinforce, and then the Germans can... Well, in fact, that's the 3rd support gun. Wow, that's a lot of support guns. And the Germans can just kind of shuffle around the positioning of their support guns and not huddle them up quite as much to avoid them being completely destroyed by land mattress barrages, which are going to be coming out once every like 3 minutes anyway. So again, I don't like mobile assault. It's just always bad whenever I see it. And here comes a nice grenade, taking out quite a lot of these poor infantry sections. And at this point, here comes the roaster. Churchill Crocodile, definitely quite decent. P4 House J managing to get some damage off on these poor British units that have been sent up north. North still pretty much under control of the Germans. The Allies have a slight lead in terms of resource scattering, but at this point, it seems like the Germans and the Allies are pretty much in a bit of a stalemate. This kind of a vehicle pool that Kriegsminister is building up. Not sure what he's going to be doing with it. I mean, he's got both a Comet and a Firefly, which is unusual. I myself would have expected either a Comet spam or a heavy tank plus a Firefly. But of course, the heavy tank has been provided by his ally Husker with the Churchill Crocodile. So who knows? 2 Fireflies can definitely be useful. But I still think that going for a Comet spam might have been more safe. Crocodile takes a lot of damage from a lot of infantry-based AT. Unfortunately, the Crocodile destroyed it all, and very nice flank coming in from the Comet. This is exactly what I like about the Comet, the versatility coming in with the flank. Also, nice tulip rocket strike. Gonna destroy the Tiger. Very lucky for the Crocodile that it survived, so this was a very good engagement for the Brits. Where's the land mattress? Why isn't it firing on the blob of German troops? I do not know. Here comes the Panzer IV in support. Had that been a move that the Germans made a little bit earlier, then they would have been able to destroy the Churchill Crocodile. At this point, in fact, the P4 has taken a huge risk in trying to destroy the 6-pounder anti-tank gun, because it might expose itself to some Firefly rounds. At this point, though, it looks like it's going to be able to retreat. Stug also taking some fire from the Firefly. Not using the target weak point, unfortunately, is a bit of a problem. But here comes the big Papa Pump, the Jagd Tiger, with the engine improvement. gonna be able to keep up with the rotation of the Fireflies, I'm guessing. And at this point, the Jagd Tiger is definitely going to be a very good asset for the Germans to deal with the Allied vehicles. Although the Jagd Tiger still really needs to be careful about the same thing that the Tiger wasn't careful about, aka the Comet. Comet tank up to vet 1 does get the white phosphorus round instead of the smoke shell. So at this point, he needs to be using that as much as possible because the white phosphorus from... Hold on, no, it cannot kill at this point. It used to be able to kill, but I don't think it kills anymore, this white phosphorus round. Anyway, still, needs to be using this Comet as much as possible to deal with both German infantry and German vehicles. And another land mattress barrage. ZZZ. That was very effective. It took out the mortar. Well, I mean, to be fair, the mortar did have 3 levels of veterancy, so that's pretty decent. Here comes lots of damage on the AC, in fact, also corroborated by the fact that the support gun managed to get a direct hit on it, and so anti-tank grenade from the P Fusiliers and 2 Panzerfaust from Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers, easily taking out that, and the direct hit, that is... Yeah, Jagd Tiger definitely gonna be enough to destroy a Universal Carrier, and I think that the shell fire from this thing is about as heavy as a Universal Carrier. So at this point, Jagd Tiger doing some work. At this point, that means that the Allies are going to be aware of the existence of the Jagd Tiger. Although the problem is, there's a new Tiger on the field from Too Extreme for You. So, yeah, at this point, if the Brits were to try a bit of a nice flank to try to take out the Jagd Tiger, they would run into lots of support from not only all the infantry support weapons, etc., but also the Tiger, and there's also a Stuka close air support available to Too Extreme for You from the Lightning War. So he does definitely have a lot of assets up his sleeve. And at this point, the Tiger charges up a little bit too much, eats a Tulip Rocket from the Sherman Firefly. That is a lot of damage and the stun, and there it goes. It's going to get finished off by the Sherman Firefly. So another Tiger goes down to the British forces from Kriegsminister. That is definitely a bit of a overextension. The Tiger, at this point, against all of these vehicles that can be very, very dangerous, needs to be used a little bit more defensively than what you normally would want to do. Because, again, it's Fireflies, so they have that stun from the Tulip Rockets. You need to be very careful about them. At this point, Crocodile also doing some work. But it looks like... Yeah, Land Mattress doing much, taking out the Reckenwerfer crew. Oh my god, so effective. I just can't fathom. It's got 17 kills, but it's only on support gun crews, and they've been recruited all the time. So it's really not managed to actually achieve anything. Like, yes, it's gotten kills, but it's not gotten any wipes. It's not reduced the size of the enemy forces facing the infantry and the vehicles on the ground. That is really the main point of artillery, not to do a lot of kills, especially once the kills end up being on essentially Volksgrenadiers that are recruiting all the weapons. That's really not going to be that expensive to reinforce. I mean, especially since Nicholas Drake still has a pretty hefty reserve of manpower available to him. What the artillery needs to do is get some wipes. So here comes another Land Mattress barrage, taking out the support gun crew. Oh no. In the meantime, the Axis are pushing in the center and getting lots and lots of damage done, forcing the Brits back to their little forward assembly. Of course, this is a very scary spot to put a forward assembly in, but it also allows the Brits to reinforce and come back to the field very quickly. So there's a double-edged side to this little double-sided approach to this forward assembly. Now, if the Jagd Tiger were to come in and notice what was going on, it would be able to destroy the forward assembly really, really quickly. But here comes a very nice flank from the British infantry. Gonna take out quite a bit. Wow, that was a nice cannon bomb, taking out all of the support weapon crews. And yes, without even expending the Land Mattress barrage. So yes, it looks like at this point, all of the support weapons have been decrewed thanks to the combination of Land Mattress and infantry assaults. But Nicholas Drake is reinforcing his Volksgrenadiers, so he should be able to recruit these very quickly. There goes a Comet from the Stug pack gun combination. Very nice. Perhaps even, no, actually not even using the target weak point. So not even with stuns, it was just a bit of a blunder from Kriegsminister. Was that really a Comet now? Yes, that was a Comet. And this is a Cromwell, right, okay. Why did he produce a Cromwell, though? That is a very, very interesting little choice from Kriegsminister. I don't think that that was a good choice. I think he wanted an extra vehicle to deal with the north, and to use in the north so that he does not have to expend his better vehicles in the center. There goes one of the squads. I believe that was an unveteran anti-tank section. But still, it is a squad nonetheless. And at this point, also a Panther on the field for Nicholas Drake is going to mean that he has a very, very versatile vehicle force. He's got a big tank destroyer, he's got a big medium tank, and he's got a versatile anti-infantry and fast medium tank with a P4 Aus J. So that is a very mighty little armor swarm. At this point, Too Extreme for You is going for a Panther. He's noticed that the Tigers really aren't working out for him too much, and so he's going for a Panther to better deal with the Fireflies. Pretty decent choice. I still feel like he needs to be much more proactive towards the southern side of the map. He needs to put more pressure down to at least force Kriegsminister to respond and get himself some freebie points. Just as the British are finally doing in the north, Husker pulling in some troops. Although with the presence of both a Panther and a P4, yeah, I don't think that there's going to be much that the Brits can do about the north. Meantime, Germans capture the center again. It's been pretty much a close call in terms of VPs throughout this game, and so I feel like this game is going to really go down not to who gets the VPs first, but to who actually destroys the enemy forces first and then captures the VPs. Ooh, a bit of a... yeah, a bit of a not good position for this poor P4FJ. Needs to retreat as much as possible. Well, here comes the P5, the Panther. This could be a dangerous little spot. There's a Comet tank and a Sherman Firefly that's got a double veterancy for Husker. Husker uses the Firefly to try to destroy the P4. The P4 decides to stop. That's so very, very, very risky. In fact, he goes down. Luckily for him, it is a abandon, and the Stern Pioneers are going to get immediately back to work repairing it. At this point, there's also a Panther from Too Extreme for You fighting up in the north and managing to get some damage off on the British vehicles. In the meantime, the defensive line in the southern part of the map is holding up quite well for Too Extreme for You. He's using the pack gun and the Stug to good effect, forcing away some of these troops. Here comes a concentrated fire operation, hopefully not doing anything for the Germans. Comet tries to flank the Jagd, but the Jagd is basically having none of it, plus the Panther's there to support. So the Comet gets out of that with a very nasty bruise on the frontal armor, and unfortunately that is going to mean that the Germans have pretty much free reign to recapture the P4, and that is going to be not quite as good as it could have been because of the loss of the veterancy, but still very, very, very lucky for the Germans. In fact, it also kept the pintle-mounted machine gun, which is very, very cool for the Germans, of course. Panzer Fusiliers with a Bren gun. How many Bren guns? Could you please stand in a more understandable position? Okay, only one Bren gun. But still, with the Bren guns and the recon package with the G43s, this is going to be very dangerous. And yet another land mattress barrage going pretty much jack all. Up to 20 kills. It's been on the field for 25 minutes, I'm thinking. No, hold on. Kriegsminister. Kriegsminister's land mattress. Well, it does have some efficiency. Where's the land mattress? 23, yeah, 20 minutes. Been on the field for 20 minutes, only got 20 kills. And only on support weapon crews. So it's really not stopped the Germans from using these support weapons to fire on the Allied infantry as it surged forward to try to capture some points, causing huge manpower bleed to the Brits. They really weren't also able to use it to wipe out enemy infantry squads, as the infantry force from both of these German players is still extremely healthy. Pretty much no wipes have been had from either source. So yes, in general, it seems like the land mattress failed once again. What about the infantry commandos? They're dead. Well, sure. Mobile assault is a doctrine that I don't like. I'm biased against it, and I hate it. Anyway, so yes, other than my hatred for mobile assault, it seems like the Germans are playing very well in terms of the sort of defensive turtle in the center. Whenever the Allies come forward and try to do something about their defensive position, they're immediately counterattacked by the German vehicles and pushed away, even when the Allies get some successes. Here comes a Stuka Colisair support. This could be very dangerous for the Church of Croc. Although the Church of Croc, with the fact that it doesn't have a damaged engine, it's going to be able to escape quite easily, I'm thinking. Nice stuns coming in on the Church of Croc. In fact, almost goes into... Ooh, there goes a British vehicle of some kind and shape. Looks like a Cromwell, maybe? Well, there's also a Firefly here trying to take out the Stug. Almost takes it out. The second Tulip Rocket unfortunately misses, but there's a very, very excellent flank from the Comet and the P4, or not the P4, the Cromwell, destroying a Panzerwerfer, destroying also the Stug Free. Also, the Panthers trying to desperately turn them away, but there's also the Sherman Firefly from Kriegsminister. Sherman Firefly, however, is going to have to deal with this other Panther from the OKW. There goes the Cromwell. At this point, the Sherman Firefly is in trouble. There's the Jagd Tiger firing on it from the flank, and the Panther from the front. This other Panther could have been pushed in to try to flank the Sherman Firefly, but it's not needed as the Jagd Tiger from maximum range snipes it away. Very good. On a glance, it seems like the Germans win the engagement as they do take out 2 Cromwells, I'm guessing, and a Sherman Firefly. What of the remaining armored forces of the Brits? We have a Comet tank. We have another Comet tank. We have the Church of Crocodile, but they've lost both of their Cromwells and they've lost one of the Fireflies. So really, they've lost quite a lot. They do have the resources to replace them. And the Germans lost, it looks like, a P4. No, hold on. What did Too Extreme for You lose? He lost the Stug and the Panzerwerfer. He's replacing the Panzerwerfer, but he's not going to be able to replace the Stug, which is a big loss because it was also better in the up. But the OKW player, Nicholas Drake, didn't lose anything, so he's still pretty much at maximum capacity. Nicholas Drake, yeah, very good. Placing down the Mechanized Regiment headquarters and repairing up his vehicles. If he loses something, he can also bring out a KT, which could be good, although I wouldn't do it if I was him because of the fact that he's facing the British. With Fireflies counter the KT pretty much entirely. At this point, though, the main... Oh, also, he cannot bring out a KT because he's got a Jagd Tiger as well. So if he loses the Jagd Tiger, I'm guessing he's just going to go for a new Jagd Tiger because the Jagd Tiger has just been so incredibly useful for him. Pretty much an MVP so far. Managing to push away the Church of Crocodile. Here comes a German rocket artillery barrage from the P-Werfer, not really doing anything as well. Just getting some suppression off on the infantry. Panther tries to charge into the center and, in fact, laughs at the rounds that the Allies are throwing at it. With its very, very good frontal armor, it manages to take a little amount of damage in a position where it probably should have taken more. In the meantime, oh, that was very unfortunate. Bren is dropped by the infantry section once it eats a 75mm shot from the P4. Yeah, at this point, it seems like the Germans are pretty much on the upper hand, although very nice move from Husker getting out those Royal Engineers and capturing up the north. In the meantime, we have a bit of a scuffle for the center once again. It's pretty much been a completely constant fight over the center. Here comes another land mattress barrage, getting some kills on support weapon crews. Not getting any actual wipes. Not even wiping the support gun crews. So these units will still be veteraned up by the time they reach the front lines again. Oh, so the Allies actually have a triple cap at this point, and the Germans need to capture some points quickly enough. They've only got 4 minutes of tickets left for a triple cap, so they need to be mindful of this. Although I'm thinking that this P-Grunt squad should be able to do pretty well with this. Wow, look at that. a screen and a half away, the Jagd does a lot of damage to this Comet. In fact, it might lead to the Comet's destruction. Here comes a pack shot from also maximum range from a veteran-free pack, but unfortunately the Comet is only decrewed by the shot from the Panther. I think the Panther should have been staying there and finishing off the vehicle. Despite the fact that there's Piats around here, the Panther really should not have cared. It was in range to destroy the Comet, and it should have done that while he had the chance. This is going to come back and bite the British in the ass, I'm guessing, later. In the meantime, the Comet in the north is doing a little bit better, forcing away the P4, but at the same time, there's a Jagd on the field. What I feel like the Brits should have done at this point is built a 17-pounder in the center, because that would have definitely helped out a lot against the German vehicles. Plus the fact that the 17-pounder is countered by artillery, but really there isn't a lot of artillery on the field for the Germans. There's only the Panzer 42. And at this point, the Germans are really running into the pop cap limit. They're almost at the cap. They're both at 90. So they don't really have the room to add some artillery if they were required to. So at this point, things are going pretty well for the Germans, but a 17-pounder I still think would be very, very good to counter the Panthers and the Jagd. Here comes an excellent grenade from the Panzer Fusiliers. Unfortunately, it doesn't really get a lot of damage off. These Panzer Fusiliers are up to veterancy free, and once the Panzer Fusiliers get some veterancy, they become killing machines. So that is very not good for the Brits. They managed to wipe out one of the squads. At the same time, there's a mortar pit that Husker has built up, learning his lesson from the Germans and getting a constantly firing indirect fire weapon instead of a barrage-based weapon like the Land Mattress. Land Mattress, where is it? Back up here, it's up to vet free, 34 kills, but again, all of these are on support gun crews. They're just not valuable kills because they don't wipe out infantry squads and they don't provide manpower bleed. As you can see, Nicholas Drake still has huge reserves of manpower, so absolutely failed in actually having any impact at all on the game, this Land Mattress. At this point, we have a nice little push coming in from the Germans, managing to break through the Allied lines and getting into the rear, popping a flame grenade on this 3-inch mortar emplacement should probably brace it at this point. Yeah, in general, it seems like the Germans are trying to build up for a nice big push, which might be coming down. There goes the mortar emplacement. No, it braces at the last possible second, although this is not going to be good because 8 more seconds and these Spokes Grenadiers are going to have a new incendiary grenade. In fact, they managed to take it out with just the fire damage and their own guns. So that's a nice little victory for the Germans there. And I still think that they're trying to build up for a big push, which might not be the best possible option. Because at this point, they've been doing well in just sitting in their defensive positions, letting the Allies come to them and using the Jagd to shoot them down before they're able to really do anything useful. So perhaps leaving their defensive positions, their established positions, and going into the unknown might be a very, very risky move. Of course, that would open the possibility of destroying this fort assembly and some of the other positions that the British have built up over the game. Nice flank coming in for the Comet isn't going to be able to do a lot because of the very quick response of these Panthers. Panthers taking some fire from a Firefly from the western flank. Although the Firefly does have enough munitions for a tulip rocket, it is not using them. Panthers trying to block the retreat path of the Comet. They're not going to be successful, but the Comet is going to go down to just the standard vanilla fire of the Panthers. In fact, the Panthers could be trying a chase to take out the Sherman Firefly in a bold stroke. But at this point, yes, there's all these mines lying around, and I'm not sure if the Germans really realize what's going on. So it is prudent for them to retreat. In the north, we have a bit of a neutral BP that's going to get captured by the Sturmpiles. Very nice usage of the P4 to make sure that the harassment wasn't going to capture the point entirely. At this point, I still don't see what the Allies could do to break the armor reserve of the Germans. Kriegsminister has 700 fuel in the bank and 600 manpower in the bank, so he should definitely be trying to get some vehicles on the field and be a little bit more aggressive with what he has. because he's really not close to the pop cap limit, so he could probably go for something like another Comet at least. And unfortunately, there goes the Comet to the very, very strong Jagd Tiger. Jagd Tiger is just not stopping. It does not care about anything. It's merciless, and it is doing its job marvelously. Veterancy 4 up for the Jagd Tiger. And at this point, the German infantry is even superior to the British infantry because of the veterancy that they have received and gotten themselves. The land mattress has a barrage, but it's not firing on these very huddled up, very heavily veteraned up, very standing still German troops. I am just very, very baffled at this point. He's just wasting the opportunity of using the land mattress in the only role where it is useful, aka the wiping out of infantry. And at this point, Nicholas Drake is starting to move them around. He manages to steal even a Vickers. Here comes the land mattress, very delayed, not enough. Jagd Tiger destroyed the AT gun, and at this point, there's another push attempt from the Brits using their infantry swarm to try to take out the MG42. Here comes a huge Panzerwerfer barrage. This is what you're supposed to do with rocket artillery. It does not get any wipes, but it does get a lot of kills, and it stops the push dead in its tracks. Good usage of the Panzerwerfer. Not good usage of the land mattress. Even though the Panzerwerfer is better than the land mattress anyway. Still, there's some comments running about for the Brits. The Brits are just losing so many infantry units that they're not able to use their extra fuel to their advantage. And at this point, this is really, I'm thinking, coming down to all these support guns in part. Here comes a Veterancy 4 support gun from Nicholas Drake. Looks like one of the support guns was decrewed and it's not able to fire anymore. Where's the mortar? That must have been destroyed as well. Or no, actually it was never recrewed. So still, lots of damage coming in from those sources. Lots of damage coming in from the vehicles as well. Of course, the P4 is up to 13 kills in its new phase, its new rebirth. Before it was decrewed, it also had around 20 kills, I think. Plus, I'm guessing, ooh, very close. Very close to a wipe. I'm guessing that these P Fusiliers are doing extremely well in terms of kills. As are these Panzer Grenadiers with G43s. I don't like Panzer Grenadiers with G43s because normally you have the already medium to close range STG-44s, and now you're upgrading them with medium to close range G43s that are generally weaker at close range. So I don't think that that's possibly the best option for him. Another Tiger finally for to extreme for you, but at this point, it's not even needed, I'm guessing. It's just a very nice extra for the Germans. So Jagd Tiger up to Veterancy 4.5, still doing its job, keeping the center clear of German, rather British vehicles, and finally, with the British trying something different, instead of just headbutting in the center and the south, they're trying to shift a little bit more towards the north, which perhaps they should have done earlier, but at this point it might be too late. They're down to 83 VPs, and they're definitely at a disadvantage when it comes to units on the field, so I don't like that at all. And at this point, yeah, Tiger is going to be able to do quite well against the Comets and the Churchill Crocodile. Yes. So really there's nothing that the Allies can do, right? I don't think so at this point. Barring some heavy mistakes from the Germans just have way too many good units fielded and used correctly so far and not spread out across the map. Here comes another land mattress barrage, yet again taking out the crew of the support gun, not doing anything else. Oh my god. So here comes the huge swarm of British infantry, but is it going to be able to do anything? It doesn't have any AT capabilities. It's going to be able to support his vehicles, but his vehicles are still being repaired. Yeah, the Allied armored force is pretty much non-existent or in need of repair. So at this point, pushing in with the infantry is not the best possible option because it is pretty much not the thing you want to do. They are going to be able to probably wipe out this poor Panzer Fusilier. There goes one of the infantry squads from the Allies. Wait, was that an infantry squad? No, it was not a full squad, I think. Though, yeah, I think it was a full squad, and right now they're sitting in the open against a P4 without any armor support. This is definitely not what you want to do with your infantry. There was a bit of a disconnect in the use of both infantry and vehicles from Kriegsminister at this point, because you really should be trying to use combined arms as much as possible. Whenever your vehicles are repairing, you don't send your infantry forward on a suicide run to die, essentially. Here comes a grenade exchange, a normal grenade on a Gammon one, and a flame grenade forces away the British infantry squad. At this point, the Churchill Crocodile tries its luck at moving north, but at this point, this is going to trigger the response of the mobile force by Nicholas Drake, I'm guessing. And this could be the end of the Churchill Crocodile because he's pushing very far. So if the Panther were a little bit more bold and trying to cut off the line of retreat of the Churchill Crocodile, I'm thinking that the Churchill Croc would have definitely gone down. But thankfully for it, the P5 was very, very conservative in its play. There goes another squad from the support gun. This is what artillery is for, not taking out the crew of other artillery pieces. Because if it does manage to get some wipes off on infantry, it is going to get vetted up regardless of whether or not it's getting decrewed every couple of minutes. Nice little push in the center. The Allies are down to 46 points, so they're definitely feeling the pressure. They have a Comet, a Firefly, and the two vehicles in the north trying to do a bit of a converging attack on the center. But it isn't really going to be working out too well because the Germans have some defenses set up over here. Very luckily, destroying that Teller mine by mistake from the Firefly. Firefly getting a very nice tulip strike on the Tiger. Tiger is now damaged and stunned. Jagd Tiger not really doing much at this point. It should either be trying to deal with these two vehicles in the north or coming back to support the center. This allows the Allies to get a triple cap going. The Germans should be very, very careful. There's only 3 minutes left on the triple cap in terms of tickets for the Germans, so they need to still be very, very mindful of the fact that they still might lose. In fact, I'm not sure why nobody has gone for the south yet. This is so baffling to me. The Germans need to be much more aggressive with that. Panther, in the meantime, managing to get some damage off on the Comet and forcing it away. Sherman Firefly also in a precarious position, and I feel like if one of these points is going to get recaptured by the Germans, it is going to be the north. Here comes a bit of a push from the German infantry, and this is going to be enough to stop the bleed, at least the worst of it for now. Also, here comes a Sturmpile squad with no Comet around, or the Comet being damaged and being very scared of what the Germans might have to offer in the center. The Sturmpiles can just very, very quickly capture the point, and that's going to mean, well, 2.5 minutes left for the Allies in terms of their ticket count for a single cap. So the Allies really need to be careful. Here comes the Boy City rifle sections. They're going to be able to get some grenades off on the tanks, but not enough to damage the engine. And now the Tiger is going to be repaired, and it's going to be a pretty good asset in the central fight. Although, here comes the British actually pouring in all their vehicles in the center in one last desperate move to try to overrun the Germans, but at this point, the Germans can just move in these vehicles from the north and use them to support the fight for the center. This is going to be the last engagement. Here comes the land mattress barrage, not really doing a lot, and at this point, thanks to the support of this MG and the veteran Panzer Fusiliers, the Allied infantry isn't going to be able to do too much. Also, the support guns are going to be firing on their advancing forces. In the meantime, the British vehicles are being forced away, but it looks like a Stuka close air support, and also the presence of the Jagd Tiger. Jagd Tiger destroys the Firefly, along with the support of the Kanonenvogel Stukas coming in, and this is going to be pretty much the end of that push. There's also the Comet that's been repaired, but it's not going to be enough with the Sherman Firefly gone to deal with all of these vehicles. Jagd Tiger almost up with the veteran C5. Here comes a very, very nice flank from the Comet, but it eats a mine and is going to be destroyed by the Jagd Tiger, which now gains its 5th level of veterancy. With 6 vehicles destroyed, this was definitely a nice MVP for the Germans. And I'm guessing this is why it's getting nerfed. So enjoy it while it lasts, Nicholas. I think this is going to be the end of the game. For the Allies, they should have been a lot more careful with their Fireflies. They should have been a lot more dynamic with their comets. They should not have gone mobile assault regiment. They perhaps should have made more use of special weapons regiment, in that they use their concentrated fire operations in absolutely the wrong way. So perhaps going for a resupply half trick and getting some Vickers K on the infantry sections would have been very valuable for them. And then using the concentrated fire operation where it mattered, aka on the buildings, and saving up the rest of the munis for the rocket strikes, that might have been all fine. Yeah, nil desperandum, but not gonna be not gonna be enough to just spat out random land. You're not desperate, but you're defeated. And yeah, it's gonna be the end. Also, the crocodile didn't really have any impact on the field this time. Unfortunately, that is because it was completely countered by the Jagd Tiger. The Jagd Tiger still just pumping down rounds and managing to get some damage off on the allies. Yeah, last 10 points. Not going to be enough for the allies. They just don't have the infantry. And yeah, they also needed to be a lot more careful with the infantry, using it more in coordination with the tanks. And also, instead of just blobbing up into one place, yeah, XSOP, instead of just blobbing up into one place and then getting just completely obliterated by the support guns and the P4, they perhaps should have been a little bit more careful, spreading out, getting some more captures off. The big main mistake of the Germans was not going for the south at all. They just let the Allies have this point after they retreated from it for the first time, and this kind of is what made the game last up to an hour and 10 minutes. Because if the Germans had been more diligent in coming down the south, harassing, forcing the Brits to spend more resources and units to come down south to capture it, or perhaps even capture it entirely for themselves, this game would have lasted probably around 45 minutes, because the Germans clearly had the superiority in terms of units, unit control, and they were able to win all of the engagements. So yes, I want to thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.